Oh, sorry a minute. We're just going to do the last three problems, double check your work on them, and then I don't remember what's next. Tomorrow's your review. Tomorrow and Friday we review, and we're looking at a test on Monday. So that's how that's working. Let's see. Ooh. I think we have the last three to do here. So this is 8, 9, and 10. This is problem 8. Layers. Alright, so this week is playing out. Today we finish up these three problems. Call it a day. Tomorrow and Friday you have review, and Monday you have a test. So let's see how the week is playing here. Your week is playing Thursday. You're going to have a review from the book. Friday we go over the review. Monday you have a test. So that's how this is working. You're not going to get difficult questions like the sheet we've been doing here. We're doing the sheet now to get that out of the way, to say, hey, were you able to complete those problems or not? After today, you should be able to submit it to me. And therefore, you should get your answers done. So that should be able to go in. That could be your grade for that section of it. You will get problems where you have to probably graph it to find the system of solutions. So it'll give you two equations. Maybe ask you to graph it, maybe ask you to just do it, but it'll give you the equations. If there is going to be a word problem, it's going to be a fairly simple one. I don't know exactly what I'm putting on there just yet, but that's that. So today, let's look at problem number 8. Yesterday, I did give you the equations for it because you guys were saying you're having difficulty picking out equations. So we picked them out yesterday. Let's go ahead and pick them out again. See if we're reading it the same way. Okay, a grain storage warehouse has a total of 30 bins. Some hold 20 tons of grain each, and the rest hold 15 tons. So we have two different types of bins here. I think yesterday I called them big and small, so let's do that again. We have big bins we're going to call with a B, so these are going to be the ones that hold the more, which would be the 20-ton bins. So let B equal the 20-ton bins, and let S equal the 15-ton bins. So we got big bins and small bins. And we know that we have a total of 30 bins, so we know that our bins need to equal 30. So if I add my big bins with my small bins, I will get 30 bins. And again, that was the easy one for you to probably pick out. So how many of each type of bin are there in the capacity of a warehouse that has 510 tons? So this one here is the equation written in bins. So B stands for bins, S stands for bins. The next one's going to be the same thing, only it's written in tons, so to speak. So the 30 bins are equal to 510 tons, and we need to know how much of each bin we have. So this is going to be B times, well, we'll do the number first. B is worth 20 tons, so it's going to be 20 times however many big bins you have, plus 15 times however many small bins you have. We're going to put these in parentheses just to keep things organized a little more. And this is a 5. I just can't write very well. So these are your two equations, and then you just solve for one of them and substitute into the other. So again, this one here, the first one here, is probably the easiest to solve for. So 30 equals b plus s. Just pick one of these to solve for. It doesn't matter which one. Let's get s away. 30 minus s equals capital B. So then we can substitute in for b here. So once we solve for b here, substitute it in over here. And we're going to get 510 minus, or 510 equals 20 times the quantity, right? We're multiplying by all of b. B is now this quantity, 30 minus s plus 15 times s. So here you want to, don't forget to distribute when you combine like terms and things like that. But this is basically the solving stuff that we've been doing for a couple weeks now. So you're going to distribute. You get 510 equals 20 times 30. 2 times 3 is 60. Minus, and then 20 times s is going to be 20s plus 15s. And here you can combine your like terms of this negative 20s and this positive 15s, and you're going to get 510 equals, that is a negative and this is a positive, so it's going to be 60 minus 5s. Is that making sense? Don't like how that turned negative, but we'll work it out. Maybe I'm making another mistake here. We'll see. Let's just see what happens here. We're then going to subtract 60 from both sides, subtract 60 from both sides. Yeah, because this is going to give us a negative number here. So where did I make that mistake? Let's see, 510 minus 60 is going to be 450, but let's see something else here. This is getting me 450 equals negative 5s, but then this is going to give me a negative answer for s, which does not make sense. So looking at it, making sure you ask yourself, hey, does this make sense? This does not make sense to me. So I'm making a mistake somewhere because there's a negative s here. So let's backtrack and see what I did wrong. See if I lost a sign somewhere. If you guys find it, let me know. The other thing is we can just change our whole train of thought here. Instead of solving for s, let's solve for b and see if that carries out any better. I think that might be my approach. Because sometimes when you make mistakes, you got to do this. Right? Math is not always easy. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to, instead of solving for s here, let's solve this for b and see how that plays out. Equals b plus s. Maybe I'll make the right math calculation somewhere down the line there. So let's subtract b from both sides. Wait, no, that's what we did before. Let's subtract s. No, yeah, let's get rid of b. That's what we want to do. Let's get rid of b this time. So then it's going to be 30 minus b equals s. And then we're going to substitute in for s instead. So 510 equals 20 times b plus 15 times 30 minus b. Go ahead and distribute. This isn't changing. 15 distributes to 30 and 15 distributes to negative b. So 15 times 30 gives us 450. And 15 times negative b gives us negative 15b. In this case, when you combine your b's, you're going to get that positive 5, which is nicer to see. So then we're going to subtract 450, subtract 450, get that 5b, and then over here, this is kind of the opposite of what we were doing. You should see kind of a familiar sense here, but that's going to give us our 90. And then you can divide by 5, divide by 5. 90 divided by 5 is, what was that, 18? 18 equals b. So b is coming out to be 18, which is making a little more sense. We're going to write that up here. And then we'll figure out that. That's not bad. 30 equals, was it b was 18 plus s, so subtract 18, subtract 18, 30 minus 18 gives us a 12 equals an s. So we're getting 12. Let's just double check that. Does 18 plus 12 equal 30? Sure it does. And let's plug them in over here and double check to make sure it makes sense over here. So 20 times b, which was 18, gives us 360. This is a 360. And then 15 times s, which is 12, so 15 times 12 gives us a 180. And a 180 plus a 360 gives us a 540. So that's not making sense, is it? Should be getting 510. Let's double check that I multiplied that right. Times 12, 180, 20 times 18, 360. All right. Let's go back to the work I did earlier and see how that works out. Because I'm making a mistake here. Something's off. So let's hide all that, and is this it? I see I'm getting the same thing I did last time. What's not making sense? 15 times 18, 720. Oh, is that all I did? Did I screw this? This is what I screwed up, didn't I? Big is 20, right? Small is 15. Where's my cheat sheet? These should be switched. I screwed up my variable somewhere. Well, let's follow my cheat sheet. I'll walk you through that. This is what I did the other day when I solved it. I don't know why I do things differently, and I can't use that to get over there. Get rid of that. Alright, so what's going on here is we still defined our variables s and b. We still have the same formulas, if you notice. They're both the same. I solved for s here, so I just rewrote it, subtracted b from both sides, got s here, substituted s into here, distributed out, and got 15 times 30 gave me the 450, 15 times negative b gave me negative 15b. Combined like terms, got the 5b, subtracted. Did I do the subtraction wrong? That's probably what I did wrong. I might have did that wrong. I got 90 when I subtracted this. I probably typed it in wrong. Get the 60, divide by 60, got the 12. That's where my mistake is. 510 minus 50 is 60, not 90. This would give me 12. And then when you plug in 12 here, it's the reverse. That would equal 18. So that's 12 and that's 18. That's my mistake. But I noticed things, I checked things, I went back, see if things worked. That's what you gotta do until it made sense. So a little time to do things. So hopefully you understood all that. It's actually pretty nice that you see me making mistakes too, I think, because we're not all perfect at these things. We do have problems that we come across, and sometimes we make little mistakes here and there, but the importance is to check your work and stick with it. So let's see here. Let's get rid of our problem. Let's delete all of that. And let's move on to our next one, which, is it this one? No, this one. Our phone call. So here, again, yesterday I kind of walked you through getting the equations out of it. Yeah, that'll be a little easier. This here is probably way more difficult than we needed to get into. But I wanted you to see them, and I wanted you to be successful on them, because if you can do these, then you truly do understand it. But system of equations will be gone over again next year in algebra. This is one of the basic algebra topics that you will be covering. So you will go over this again next year, a little more in depth than you did. All right, thanks, Logan. Awesome that you're looking out for me too. So here we have an overseas phone call is charged at one rate or a fixed amount for the first minute, and at a different rate for every additional minute. So you know that your cost is going to equal your first minute plus all your additional minutes, however much that cost. So the price of these, price of the first plus cost of additional minutes. That's kind of the idea that you're getting into here. Our first phone call is 7 minutes long, so 7 minutes long is going to cost us $10. It says right there, 7 minutes costs $10. And we know that's going to be the first minute, where we're going to come over. We'll define our variables. F is going to be the first minute, and that's going to be at the price of the first minute, actually. And A is going to be additional minutes, and that's also going to be the price. So I am dealing with the price of this. So our first call is $10. That is the price of the first minute plus the price of any additional minutes. And being that it is 7 minutes long, that means the first minute would be here, and then the 6 remaining minutes would be additional minutes. So we're going to do 6 times your additional minutes. And I used capitals. So I'm going to stick with capitals. Actually, I don't like the capital A. I'm going to make everything lowercase. So that'll be F, and that'll be A. So F plus A. This will be our first equation. Our second one is a 4-minute call for 640. So 640 is going to equal your first minute plus 3 more additional minutes. So be careful with the numbers here. This is 7 minus the first minute, so it is 6, and this is 4 minus the first minute, so it is 3. So watch, make sure you actually take off your 1 minute when you do the multiplication over here. But those are your 2 equations. You just solve for one and substitute into the other. I'm going to solve for this one, and I'm going to solve for F. I am not going to solve for A here because then I'd have to do some division work, and F is just the better option to solve for. It's just going to make your life a little easier. Because there is no coefficient to F here, so I'm not going to have to divide by anything. So I am going to take the first one, F plus 6A, and all what I need to do is subtract F, or subtract 6A from this side. and that's going to leave me with f. So I'm going to subtract 6a from this side. So I'm going to get 10 minus 6a is equal to f. In that case, I'm going to plug into the other one. So, okay, I had some trouble forming the equation. Do you understand where you made your mistake if you did? Again, it's a little tricky with, hey, you got to subtract the 1 minute from each of them and use one less minute for your a. But here, we're going to just subtract 6a from both sides and get it equal to f, and then we're going to plug into this one. So I know 6.40 equals f, which is now the quantity, 10 minus 6a, which we really didn't need in parentheses, plus 3a. But yeah, the parentheses aren't doing anything here, so let's get rid of them. And then we can combine like terms. You get 640 equals negative 6a plus 3 is going to be 10 minus 3a. And then you're going to, I want to subtract 10 from both sides. Subtract 10 from both sides, then we get, what's your decimal mark there, 6.4 minus 10. Should be giving us a negative number here. And we are expecting a negative number because this side here is negative. So that way when we divide, we're going to cancel out that negative and make it positive. Right? It does not make sense to have a negative a value here because that means you're talking for negative minutes. And that's not really ideal. So we're going to divide by negative 3 and divide by negative 3. That is 36 divided by 3 is 12. Get your decimal point in there. Equals a. So every additional minute, it is looking like, and I'm going to come over here, I'm going to put it as $1.20, because remember this is a price. So 1.2 is not really how we rate money. We rate it as $1.20, like such. Once we get that, we're going to go ahead and plug back into that one. Or you could plug into this if you're confident in how you transformed your formula. I'm going to go ahead and just plug into this one though. So we get 10 equals f, which is 1.2, plus 6 times a. And again, the parentheses here were not necessary. So we are then going to subtract the 1.2 from both sides. And what is that? 8.8. Did I do that right? I didn't do that right. 10 minus 1.2. Yeah, that's 8.8. Equals 6a. It's 88 divided by 6. Go even. Not really. Do I like that? I don't know. We'll check our work to see if this is making sense too. Divide each by 6. $1.2 equal a. And that's why that's not making sense. Awesome, Jack. Thank you. This is why when I do too much math in one day, I get confused on what I'm talking about. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we are plugging in here. 10 equals f plus 6 times 1.2, because that is a. That's my mistake. Awesome pickup, Jack. 6 times 1.2 is 7.2. 10 equals f plus 7.2. And then we're going to subtract, right? Yeah, subtract. Minus 7.2 minus 7.2. 10 minus 7.2 is going to give you 6.8. I'm just checking all my math. I'm sorry, that's 2.8. Because, and then again, that is going to be money. And let's go ahead and double check all of this out. Just to make sure things are making sense everywhere, because I am making a lot of mistakes again today. Yesterday I was doing pretty good. Today I'm making a lot of mistakes. So here we got 2.8, So let's just check it out. Let's plug it into our first one here and see if that's going to work. We're going to get, hopefully it's going to equal $10, but we got F as 2.8 plus 6 times 1.2. So 6 times 1.2 plus 2.8 does equal 10. So it checks out for that one. Let's check the other one. So I know 2.8 plus 3 times 1.2 should give me 6.4. 3 times 1.2 gives me 3.8 plus 2.8 gives me 6.4. So that one does check out too. So those are your answers. This is what you're looking for right here. Any questions on that? But our answers are making sense now. That's the beauty of math. Things make sense in math. If they're not making sense, then we're doing something wrong. It's kind of nice for you to get my thought process through these two as we do them. So what I'm thinking about, let's see, I want to get rid of that. And let's look at our last problem for today, which is this one. This one is tricky due to percents. Just keep in mind, percents, we want to make decimals. So the first thing that you probably want to do whenever you tend to see percents is make these decimals. We're going to use that number, and we're going to use that number for your percents. That way you don't get confused with the percentage. It's just a decimal. Use the decimal for percents. So we are looking at a financial planner wants to invest $8,000. Some in stocks returning 15% annually, and the rest in bonds returning 6% annually. How much should he invest at each rate to get a return of $930 annually from the two investments? At least projected. Right? You're not guaranteed to get these percentages all the time, and you're not guaranteed to even get your money back from things. They are investments. There's a risk involved, so keep that in mind. However, bonds tend to be very low risk, while stock options, depending on what you pick, some can be very high risk, while others pretty low risk. Some even pay dividends. If you can get in a dividend stock, then like every year the company pays you a certain amount just for having stocks in their company. So a financial planner wants to invest $8,000. So we have $8,000 is going to be the total of all his stocks. So it equals the amount that he buys in, I forget what we called them yesterday, because they are stocks versus bonds. So I could call, I'll use S for the stocks and B for the bonds. I feel like I named them after the percents. Right, this is your 0.15 investment, and this here is your 0.06 investment. Just try to keep things, I guess I'll put a V for investment. Just try to keep things organized there. So we have 8,000 is going to be however many stocks plus bonds we have. They need to add up to $8,000. So the price of all my stocks plus the price of all my bonds is going to be $8,000. That's how much I'm investing, and I'm investing in these two things. So it's one or the other. It's not anything besides these two things. So there's our first equation. Our second equation is going to deal with the actual amount of money that's being made. So this is going to be your 930 is going to equal however much I decided to invest in my stocks, but that's at a rate of 0.15. So it's whatever my stock is paying out, which is 0.15% of my annuity. So 0.15 times my stocks plus the percentage of my bonds. So it's looking like that. So again, this here deals with the annuity. This is your annuity, or annually, how much you're actually getting. This is your return. That's the word it's using. It's your return. This is how much money you're going to make off of this, and this is how much you put in, or your principal, if you recall our investment talks from earlier lessons, right? So these are your two equations. We're just going to manipulate one into the other. So we're going to solve for the first one here, which is 8,000 equals S plus B. Let's get rid of B, because I don't like writing S's. They look like 5s. So if I get rid of B on that side, I'm going to get 8,000 minus B equals S. And then I'm going to go ahead and substitute it in up here. So I got 930 equals 0.15, and then instead of writing S, I have the quantity 8,000 minus B plus 0.06 times B. Okay, and we're going to distribute. So go ahead and do that. We get 930 still on this side. 15% of 8,000, or 8,000 times 0.15 gives us 1,200 minus 0.15b, because 0.15 times b is 0.15b, plus 0.06b. Right? Now don't let your decimals confuse you. You can still combine these like terms. Remember, this one here is a negative though. So I have negative 0.15 plus 0.06, and that is going to give me 930 equals 1,612 minus 0.09b. So I just combined our decimals here. 0.15 negative, the negative 0.15 plus 0.06 gives me negative 0.09. And this is going to be nice because when I subtract my 1,200 here and my 1,200 here, again, I'm going to get both a negative number on this side and I'll have a negative number on this side. So this will leave me with negative 0.09b. So this is making sense so far. And then when you subtract this out, we get 930 minus 120 negative 270. And then when you divide, you're going to take that negative away. You get b on this side, negative, and divide that by 0.09. Your negative goes away, and you're left with 3,000. So what this means is you are going to, out of this $8,000, you're going to put 3,000 of it into the bonds. So keeping myself over here, B equals 3,000. You're going to invest 3,000 of your $8,000 into the bonds, and then the rest of it will go into the stocks. So you can plug it back into your original equation, which is the 8,000 equals S plus B, which you know is 3,000, and subtract 3,000, subtract 3,000, and you get 5,000 equals S, which is the remainder of that 8,000. So here, S equals your $5,000. And these are money. So to get your units in there. So that, and they're written bigger over here. And that is making sense to me, but we can go back and check that. Go right ahead. We already know that 3 plus 5 is going to give you 8,000, so it checks for that one. This one here, let's double check this one here just to make sure. So we're going to get, well, we're hoping to get 930. So we're going to do 0.15 times 5,000 plus 0.06 times 3,000. And hopefully This is going to give us 930. That's what we're aiming for here. 0.15 times 5,000 gives us 750. 0.06 times 3,000 gives us 180. And when you add those together, it gives you 930, which is what we wanted. So this is checking out. Everything's working out well here. That is our solutions. Are there any other questions about them? Tomorrow you will have your review. The questions that you're going to see tomorrow are the kind of questions you're going to see on your test. You're not going to see much of this until next year again. But I did think it was important to take our time to do it. So if you have any questions, now would be a great time, or you can email. But if not, I'm going to end it. Our time's almost up anyways. Big shout out again to Jack for saving the day on that one problem. Awesome job. Thanks for everyone else shouting out to Jack for saving the day. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow. So long. Bye.